Once Human is getting its brand new update 1.3.2, we have all the details there to cover, including the patch notes, optimizations, and a few new features. I'm also going to cover some end of scenario help checklists. We'll look at some new store updates and some future cosmetics, as well as some potential scenarios and what we might be seeing in the future. We got a ton to talk about. What's up, world? It's Utopia back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. Okay, so first up, let's just jump into the 1.3.2 patch version. We'll get into all the details there, as I said, the optimizations, some new features. Before we jump into the patch notes, I want to mention very quickly, I know I said this was going to be the last time, but I am doing an additional giveaway. The reason why is 8 out of the 9 people did respond to me, but somebody still hasn't responded after 72 hours. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to distribute a 1 additional battle pass key. So I am hosting another giveaway over on my Discord. Again, as of right now, this is just for 1 battle pass key. There's going to be another host of giveaways this week. I think I'm getting another bundle pack. So be sure to check out my Discord and the giveaway channel specifically. Jumping back to the patch notes side of things, where the opening statements for the 1.3.2 patch are mostly pertaining to some of the stuff that I previously covered. Although they do say here that on November 20th at 8 p.m. PST there will be maintenance. That's 10 p.m. CST or 11 p.m. EST, and that will last about 4 hours like usual. So by the time this video does go live, more than likely we're going to be hitting maintenance mode. They do mention that this update is going to include the new scenario sign-up system. I've went over that. I'll cover that very briefly here, where they do showcase the scenario sign-up system 2.0. Again, where you can advance registration or join directly. There's an advancement period. There's also a lock-in period once you're locked into a spot, if a spot is available. If you do choose to remove yourself during that lock-in period, you might not be able to get it back. You can also now join as a team, which is up to 20 different players. And you can even use a search feature to find different teams. With Prison vs. Clash scenario, you'll be able to sign your faction before joining. That will also lock in and depend on how the server is populated. And if you're in a team, the team captain will pick and decide your faction. They do mention on November 21st, they're going to be opening at least 1 server per scenario in all regions. Of course, if any of those scenarios or servers become too full too quickly, they'll promptly add more servers and make an official announcement. It looks like we're going to be getting all the scenarios back, the original PvP ones, the original PvE ones, hard and normal, as well as Prison vs. Clash and even Way of Winter. So depending on what you want to play, you can join into any of these scenarios. They're going to be unleashing all of them to you. We'll have to see which mode is most popular. I ran a poll over on my Discord, but I'm also going to put a poll over on my YouTube channel to see what people are actually joining, seeing as we're just getting every scenario all there at once. Jumping over now, we do also have some additional event updates. They do mention that the Gather Friends system will now permanently be available, and its rewards will refresh periodically. I'll try to put my code down below so you can use my recruitment code, which should eventually contain a 6-star Jaws. Although I might be swapping my blueprints around, but for now it will probably be a 5 or a 6-star Jaws. This will run from November 21st all the way till February 22nd. There's also going to be some limited edition cosmetics in that, which is pretty cool overall. Speaking of cosmetics, we have some new shop arrivals, where as I mentioned in my last video, they have the Spree for Less, which is that 35% off all new shop arrivals. This is lasting from November 21st to December 4th, or exclusive to that, the Doomsday Lifestyle Collection theme pack will be available in the shop after the update, where you can now finally look like T-Man. With that Doomsday Lifestyle Collection pack, there's also the Jungle Knight Light Territory Decoration pack, and many epic cosmetics pieces that will be added to the shop. As they do mention, of course, all those new shop arrivals will be 35% off for a limited time. And all discounted items can be viewed in the shop cosmetic Spree for Less. You'll see how they're designated off over here. There's even one here for 90% off, so a ton of sales during the Black Friday season. We're also getting a brand new Lightforge loot crate, this one being labeled the Techno Stampede crate, which consists of the Nightmare Bringer fashion set, the Smelter Ice M416 weapon skin, and the Electro Cat Cradle skin. They also do mention there's going to be some post-update shop arrivals, the Wilderness Fighter collection, the Black Gold Fighter, and the Cradle skins and paints. Those will arrive next week. Jumping over to the patch notes side of things, the key updates and optimizations. First up here, we have a ton of new construction adjustments. They've improved the grid alignment system for walls, roofs, and furnitures, which has been a highly requested fix and adjustment. They simplified the placement mechanics with better visual feedback for invalid placements. Facility categories have been revised, with agriculture facilities merged into one group, and the excess facilities in blueprints must be resaved. So make sure you're going back into your blueprints and resaving those. Jumping over, we have some dungeon adjustments, where the enemy strength, spawns, and dungeon difficulty have been adjusted in various scenarios. cutscenes in multiplayer dungeons are now skippable per player, so you'll no longer need to wait for all 4 people to actually skip a cutscene. It is the worst when there's just one person that hasn't skipped it yet, so now it will be per player and per load time. They've also made some adjustments to some boss mechanics and mutations for smoother gameplay. Hopefully should help with some lag stuff there as well. Jumping over, we also have some Eternaland fixes, where they've enhanced the inventory management, the bulk discard now, and increased stack limit. I know this was a huge one requested in my last video that I talked about the Eternaland stuff. People really wanted that bulk discarding and bulk selling, so hopefully there is a bit of bulk selling now, but now at least you can do the bulk discarding. They've also introduced a separate mail system and improved the usability of inherited resources, which again was another big requested feature in my last video. And they added an item storage across all space-time backpacks, which is super massive there for that storage space. Although one big change here is that prism deviations can no longer be converted into astral sand in the backpack. Mods also saw a section here where they enhanced the mod filtering and sorting options. They added a self-selection crate for keyword suffix mods, and they improved the disassembly bench usability and mod backpack organization. Jumping down, we saw public crisis events get some more adjustments from the last patch, where they made adjustments to difficulty, rewards, and even mechanics, again for smoother progression. They've also introduced portals for easier navigation and event reward previews. We also saw some tweaked damage multipliers, mechanics, and animations for various enemies. They've adjusted elite enemy shields, and the post-elimination explosion damage for balance. Character controls got their optimizations for movement and telekinesis mechanics, which those always felt really clunky if you've played a lot. And they added a melee weapon toggle for mobile players, which I do remember that being one of the rough things about the mobile playtests. Deviation saw some enhanced visual effects and collision mechanics. They will no longer collide with you in base, at least the non-combat ones. That is a pretty massive fix here and change. They also added functionality to rename and store deviations, which will help a lot when you have different ones that have different perks and you don't know which one you need. You can then classify them and categorize them appropriately. We also saw some wilderness changes for improved weather effects and notifications. They updated loot rewards from certain riddle spots. And for the weather reminders, they did add a new setting. You can go into settings, gameplay, and dynamic interface, which you can then show notifications for all weather and show them for unusual weather caused by the Chaos Weavers or even disable them. The reporting system also saw some reworks, where they shortened the cooldown and added cooldown indicators for reporting. And they also did change the control for vehicle reporting, where you now have to press and hold the key. That way you aren't accidentally reporting vehicle violation. Last up for some of the changes here, they had an other category where shields are now displayed on the HUD, and they've now added a co-dev feedback platform to address players' concern transparently. We've talked about this before, and they want to do this based on region. So this new feature will aim to improve communication with players and ensure your concerns are responded promptly. We did see some additional bug fixes here. I'll summarize those very quickly. They've addressed issues with combat buffs, animal hides, deviations, survival tech, cosmetics, map interactions, vending machines, and many more. They've also fixed some problems with dungeon spawns, event refreshes, and sound effects. Overall, these updates will streamline the gameplay, improve system usability, and enhance the player experience while addressing key bugs and concerns. So overall, that should add some nice quality of life features. Definitely some major ones I know people want there. I know I also mentioned what we might be seeing for a future scenario, which we might have a teaser here with this imagery from the official Once Human Twitter, who showcases them being underwater, saying that they have a vibrant underwater world to take in some of the sights. Maybe they play into this a bit more. It does seem like it's alluding to that a little bit. We'll have to see for future notions there. Jumping over for some last minute mentionables, we do have that stuff from the community. First up here, we do have an end of scenario checklist. Now I did say I would make a video on this, and I might still potentially, but until then, if you wanted a checklist for everything, someone did put one together here where they talk about all the different rewards you should be claiming, everything that you should be doing at the very end of a scenario. Of course, make sure you're buying out different crates, your stronghold blueprints, and things of that nature. I might have a more in-depth video on this, going over recipe locations, especially pertaining to the Way of Winter scenario, but I'll let you guys know on that in the future, potentially tomorrow. Also, if you want some help with animals and the traits and kind of the capture system there, we do have this doc sheet or Google Doc sheet. This was done by Ryuk9847 and then promptly posted to the subreddit. I'll leave a link down below to the actual docu page, as well as the subreddit and the Reddit thread. Overall, though, that should about cover for today's video. If you like and subscribe, and until the next one, deuce.